Shall we start? Cô muốn hỏi đúng không ạ? Dạ con mời cô. À, tức là câu này đúng không ạ? Cô hỏi trước đi, câu hỏi trước đi, xong rồi.
Nghe.
Con mời cô.
Alo, con xin kính chào Achan, chào bác John và cô Sarah và chào cả nhà. Con có một câu hỏi. Con
Dạ, đạo hữu nào đang mở loa ngoài tắt dùm được không ạ?
trong kinh có nói là Đức Phật có nói là ba cái chết. Cái chết thứ nhất là cái chết chế định. Cái chết thứ hai là chết trong từng sát na. Và cái chết thứ ba là cái chết của vị A-la-hán. Con muốn thỉnh Chan cũng như bác John và cô Sarah giải thích rộng ba cái chết này cho chúng con được hiểu đúng hơn. Dạ. Dạ, con xin cảm ơn.
So we heard that there are three kinds of death. The ordinary death that everyone knows. And second is the death of the Arahata. When the last chitta of the Arahata falls away. And then the death in each moment, the momentary death. So could you please explain these three kinds of death, please?
Death, the samuti marana, the conventional death, is the death at the end of this life. Is it working? Can you hear? The end of this life. And usually we assume that this is all there is to death. We don't know about any other death. But this is just our conventional idea of death. We say when a person dies, that's the end of life. But as we've been hearing again and again, chitta arises and falls away all the time. So actually there is momentary death, karnika marana, at every moment in life. So even now there is death of seeing, there's death of hearing, there's death of thinking, death of liking, death of disliking, whatever arises and falls away, dies, never to arise again, gone forever. And at the end of this lifetime, the last chitta in life, the chuti chitta, just like the chitta now, arises and falls away by conditions, the result of past karma, and is followed by the next chitta, the patisandhi chitta, the birth consciousness. So life goes on moment by moment. So we think it's such a serious matter when someone dies, but actually, in truth, it's just another chitta followed by another chitta. So this is karnika marana. And the third kind of death, as you mentioned, is in the case of the arahat, all defilements have been completely eradicated. Karma brings its results for the rest of that life, but no new karma is produced. And at the end of that life, no more ignorance, no more attachment. So no more results of past karma, no more birth consciousness. The end of all chittas, the end of life in samsara, no more arising, no more becoming. Was there any, because I know you are familiar with the three kinds of death, is there any point or any aspect you would like to discuss more in detail?
Begin again all the time to consider the truth, which is right now. What do you think about this? What does it mean? This. We just use the word, but what is the meaning of it? That which is there, false way, never to arise again. Is that the meaning of death? That which is there, false way, completely, absolutely, ultimately, never to arise again. Is that everyone knows about this? So now, what is there now? False way, instantly, never to arise again. Is that death too? Whatever is there, falls away instantly and never arise again. So now seeing, sees. Where is it now? Falls away instantly, never to arise again. The death of seeing, of whatever arises. And this is temporary death, because it conditions the next moment to see again, hear again, think again, as long as one thinks that one lives until death. So the samuti death, conventional death, is when someone dies, the end of this life, never be this person anymore, even just a moment. And everyone knows that it's death. Never to be this personality or this person anymore after that moment of death falls away. Common to every moment. Even seeing right now, it falls away. And the death moment arises and falls away. But it ends up this life to be this person. So now, as long as the death consciousness, the death moment, hasn't arisen yet, so it's not that which we take it for death. But right now, whatever arises falls away, never to arise again, is death. It's not just to believe, but to understand the truth, little by little. That's why we learning about the truth, and the truth is every moment to be learned, that it's actually no one at all. Whatever arises, appearing now, falls away instantly, never to arise again. Is that another meaning of death? Temporarily death. Seeing is so very, very short. Hearing is so very short. Nothing can stay long at all. Nothing can last. As soon as it has arisen, this is the truth that Buddha had enlightened. As soon as whatever arises, performing its function, and then gone instantly, never to arise again. So the birth moment is the same, temporary death. And the other moment after seeing, the same, until death, the same. But what it's meant by death, that no more that person, after the death consciousness, a moment of a conscious performing the function of depart or never be again as this person is there. And as soon as death has fallen away, new life, next moment begins. So there has to be another kind of death, the final death for Arahata. After death moment has fallen away, no more anything to arise after death, because all conditions, which condition each moment now, never be there at all, completely eradicated. When there's no cause, there's no result. Whereas no previous moment with akusala, anusaya, the accumulation of on and on, which pass from one moment to another one, ends up nothing can condition the next moment. And that is the final death for Arahata only. So there can be the understanding of each word. What is death? is that which never to arise again after it has fallen away. So will be this person how long? Who knows? Can be just only now, or to evening, or tomorrow, and more than that, months and years, who knows? Depending on condition. Whatever arises falls away instantly, no matter it's birth moment or death moment, or seeing now or hearing now. Is that true? It's there from birth here, but who knows the truth? That what is there appearing has to be conditioned to arise. No one can make it arise at all. Seeing right now is conditioned. Hearing right now is conditioned. Thinking about that which is seen or heard is here only a moment and then gone. So life exists only in a moment, only. Never two moments together at all. And each moment arises and falls away temporarily, death, never to return. Until the end of this life, no more this person. That is the death that we know. The sammuti death, conventional death, and the final death. Is it possible? Nothing arises after that moment has fallen away, the death consciousness of Arahata. So now, the teachings of the Buddha is not far away from this moment. So close, just a moment by conditions. That's why no matter we think that by learning about Dhamma, it's not the words, but it's about the truth. Represented by the word for each one as seeing is a moment of a consciousness or the reality, which whenever it arises, it experiences an object. Can anyone stop it? From its function, just arise to experience the object through the eyes or ears or nose or tongue or body or mind, or even not through those six doorways. It's there from birth, unknown. That's why Buddha taught what is birth. Without that which arises and experiences the object, is it birth? And how come the body? What condition it arise together at the moment of birth? That's why we learn about the truth, which is there from birth to death, that is here. And that is the meaning of learning about the truth of life, or understanding each word of the teachings. It's just to understand what is there now, from moment to moment. Otherwise, there can never be the understanding of the truth of what is now appearing. At moment of seeing from birth, it's always I see. Because it's moment of something is seen, and the seeing itself sees it, but no understanding of the truth of these two at all. That's why it's always a moment of seeing no one. So it's me or I see. At moment of hearing right now, no one at that moment of hearing. So it's I here, unknowingly, but it's there. That's why the teachings of the Buddha about the truth is so very, very subtle. It's there, but what appears, it's just the surface of that which is so very deep. Now seeing arises and following, see the truth, but it's so deep. Hearing is not seeing. And many cittans arise and falls away in order by condition. See, everything is by conditions. That's why there are so many conditions for whatever arises. Very easy example is seeing. Without the eye base, the eye, and that which can impinge on the eye, can they be seeing? Before seeing, there's no seeing. But by such conditions, it conditions seeing just to see only that which impinge on the eye base, and then fall away all of them, even that which impinge on the body, on the eye, seeing, or the seeing, or that which is the base for seeing to arise, all gone. Death, each one. No doubt about death now, right now, until the end of this life. No more this person. Just like no more person in the last life and next life and on and on. Just understand the truth of it, whether it's true or not right now. Seeing is not moment of hearing. They cannot be seen, hearing together by conditions. That's why the Dhamma, the truth of what is there in life, is so very subtle. But it can be studied, begin to understand what's Dhamma, the truth of whatever is there. And where is Dhamma? It's not far away, so close. We haven't to go somewhere to find it, to study, but it's there now. So now it's time to study the truth, which is so close. Is now death. See.
Dạ thưa có.
Yes, death is now, she said.
About the conventional death, when we don't know about the absolute death at each moment, there can be a lot of fear of death, a lot of fear about what will happen to me, what will happen to my dear ones, what about my mother who passed away recently. But the more the understanding there is of death at each moment, arising and falling away at each moment, the more one appreciates how ordinary it is. Conventional death is just a word, a name, actually another arising and falling away, just as we don't fear what will be seen or heard at the next moment now. It's the same, next life, more seeing, more hearing, more thinking, more attachment, more kindness, more ignorance. So just different realities, each one arising, falling away, insignificant, each one dukkha, because it's gone instantly, each one sunyata, gone completely. So understanding about life existing just in a moment now is the way to appreciate it's always like that. It always was like that in the past. It will always be like that in the future. And when we go to sleep, we don't fear what will happen when we're having a deep sleep. And the last moment of life in this life is just like that, like another Bhavanga Chitta, but we call it Chuti Chitta because it's the last Chitta in this life. So it's just another moment, like a moment in deep sleep, followed by another moment, another Chitta, like a Bhavanga Chitta that we call Patisandhi Chitta, the birth consciousness, more Bhavanga Chitta, and then experiences through the mind door again. So nothing to be concerned about, just like now. So it's so helpful to understand about the Kanika Marana, the temporary death at this moment, and how each reality arises and falls away, and to know actually in the absolute sense, this is the only kind of death there is in life.
So it is the attachment to the idea of self that makes death fearful, right?
Yes. The idea of I, what will happen to me, I that lasts, I that is a being, I that will be reborn, conditions a lot of anxiety and fear and worry. but the more understanding there is that actually now, no I, no me, no being, just moments of seeing, hearing, thinking, ignorance, arising and falling away. Nothing to be so concerned about, nothing to be so worried about. Where is the I now? If there's no I now, how can I fall away? How can I be reborn? Actually, just different cheetahs arising and falling away. Very ordinary. And just like all the experiences in the last life have been forgotten, all the things that were found important, all forgotten. All the experiences in this life that we find so important, all to be forgotten. But the understanding that arises now is accumulated. It will continue to condition more understanding, never lost. But the names for the flowers, the names for our friends, the way to cook, the way to shop, the way to do this or that, the way to use our smartphone, all to be forgotten, of no importance. But the wholesome qualities that are accumulated will continue to accumulate and bring their results in future, but not for me. So it's a great relief to understand about death at each moment, death now, life existing in a moment.
Dạ, con xin cảm ơn Achan cũng như cô Sarah đã giải thích thêm cho chúng con được hiểu rõ hơn. Nếu mà mình được học hiểu về cái sự thật này, cái chết trong từng khoảnh khắc thì mình sẽ không còn tại vì thông thường thì chúng con hay bị dính mắc với cái tôi, nên hay lo sợ cái chết, khái niệm chế định, mà không có học hiểu được cái chết của trong từng sát na. Nếu mà hiểu được cái chết được trong từng sát na, mình mới xả ly và không có còn lo sợ về cái chết của chế định nữa. Dạ, con xin cảm ơn Achan cũng như Sarah. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Achan and Sarah. Usually we live with the idea of self almost all the time. And because of that idea of self, we find that death is something to be very fearful. But thanks to the teaching about each moment, about Dhamma, just arise and fall away, death at each moment. So there's less fear of the conventional death. Thank you so much.
Even when there is fear, because it arises for all of us, but even when it arises, there can be understanding. It's just a Dhamma and it falls away instantly as well. It's just for a moment too. Nothing lasts.
Dạ, đúng là như vậy. Con xin cảm ơn cô.
That's right. Thank you.
At the moment of understanding or wise considering, no fear at those moments.
Đạt muốn hỏi đúng không? Nhưng có một câu hỏi của sư cô được gửi từ sáng nay. Câu hỏi của em có liên quan đến câu này luôn thì chị sẽ hỏi luôn, còn nếu mà không liên quan thì chị sẽ đọc câu của cô trước. Thế thì chị sẽ hỏi câu của cô trước ha. So there's a question from the nun in front. She asked, I would like to know what are the conditions for Panya to arise. Examples have been given, like hearing the Dhamma and reading the Sutta. And when we are doing these things, it's that developing understanding. Thank you. Sẽ có phần trao đổi thì tôi cũng cầm sẵn cái mic để nếu như được hỏi thì tôi có thể.
I think it's more subtle. We're so used to think of doing something. So we think now we're here and we're listening for 90 minutes or so. So that's a condition for understanding, or we think we've opened the sutta, we've opened the book, and we're reading the Buddha's teaching. So that's a condition. But it depends on the wise considering at this very moment or that very moment. We can be eating our lunch and there can be wise considering because they're still seeing, they're still hearing, there's still hardness touched. We can be walking outside along the street and there can be conditions for wise considering. So just hearing about the Dhamma or just reading the sutta is not enough. What is most important is the very careful and wise considering. And for the wise considering, it doesn't mean we have to live a particular lifestyle. It doesn't mean we need more free time. It doesn't mean we don't carry out our usual daily responsibilities, because there is seeing anytime, hearing anytime, thinking anytime. Is there wise considering of these realities and wise considering that they are anatta? They're not in anyone's control. No one can make them arise. No one can stop them falling away. And it's here and now, anytime, any place. Otherwise, we just keep thinking of the activity. We should write more notes. We should read more texts. We should join more discussions. But what about the wise considering even now?
And just to add a little bit to that, the wise considering has to be considering that is motivated by one's interest in the Dhamma. So it's not something that should be done as a kind of practice or as a deliberate setting aside time in order to consider. That's not what is meant by wise considering, because it has to arise. It's only the kind of consideration that arises naturally, as I say, motivated by the accumulated interest there is in the Dhamma, in having a better understanding of the meaning of the teaching given by the Buddha. And it's also not considering how can I have more awareness, or is it kusala citta now or akusala citta? Should I be having more kusala? That kind of consideration is also not what is meant by wise considering. In order for the development of understanding to continue, it needs to be a reflection or consideration on the teaching of the Buddha as such, not because we want to have more understanding, but just because, as I say, it interests us and we appreciate that there is not yet the deep understanding of the true meaning of the Buddha's teaching. Some people tend to ask, well, how do I know if the considering is wise considering or not? In other words, it could be kusala, it could be akusala. And I think the answer to that is it doesn't really matter, because we don't necessarily know the difference on a moment-to-moment basis between thinking that is kusala, thinking that is akusala. And it doesn't really matter, because the point is not to be perfect in how we consider. The point is that it's happening naturally, and that's how it is. As understanding is developed further, obviously, there'll be more kusala in the reflection than there is now, perhaps. But it shouldn't be a cause for concern. We can't be perfect before we begin the development of understanding. Wise considering is just what happens naturally.
Panya accumulating, how it's not lost. The panya from this life continues to accumulate and bring its results later. And the panya now arises because of panya in the past that was accumulated. So the most important factor is the understanding right now, understanding that it's just Dhamma arising and experiencing its object. It's just a Dhamma that is seen, a Dhamma that is heard, just different Dhammas in life from moment to moment, arising and falling away. No one there, no one to be seen, no one to be heard, no one to experience anything. So the understanding right now is the condition for more understanding to develop without wishing or hoping or expecting, but just understanding what life is at this moment.
Thank you teacher, và thank you, cảm ơn hai học trò của cô teacher.
Dạ thưa Achan, cô Sarah và chú John ạ. Dạ con có câu hỏi như thế này ạ. Con đã từng được nghe về Nimitta bóng ảnh của đối tượng thị giác, nhưng mà con vẫn chưa được nghe về Nimitta của cái thấy. Con xin Achan, cô Sarah và chú John có thể giải thích cho con hiểu thêm ạ.
I have heard about the nimitta of the visible objects, but I haven't heard about nimitta of seeing. So can you please teach us about nimitta of seeing?
Is there seeing right now?
Dạ có.
Yes.
What is seen?
Dạ là đối tượng thị giác ạ.
He said visible object.
Really? Oh, many people in this room.
Dạ rất là nhiều người trong căn phòng này.
Yes, there are many people in this room.
So how many moments of seeing has to be from moment to moment? To take that which is only seen as something or someone. By the succession of seeing and seeing and seeing that just one dot which is seen until it appears as shape and form of something made known as flower and table and so on. That's why can there be just one moment of seeing now? No. Just one. Possible or impossible? The truth
Em có
in
hiểu
everyday life.
câu hỏi của bà? Bà hỏi là bây giờ có phải là chỉ có một khoảnh khắc thấy hay không, hay là phải nhiều khoảnh khắc
Dạ
thấy?
nhiều khoảnh khắc.
A lot. There
Yeah.
have to be many, many seeings.
And that is the nimitta of seeing. and moment of seeing appears, it appears as nimitta of many moments of seeing, because just one moment cannot be known. What can be known is only the nimitta of whatever it is. Can there be just one dot to be flower? To be only a flower, a petal?
Dạ
See,
không.
so many dots, many
Yeah.
moments of seeing. So right now, what can be known is only the seeing as just a reality, but not only one can be realized by way of limit, by way of processes, and the way it is.
Dạ, như vậy là mỗi một cái thấy nó vẫn để lại bóng ảnh để cái thấy tiếp theo có thể kinh nghiệm được nó, phải không ạ? Phải.
So he said that each seeing leaves the nimitta so that the next moment of seeing can experience it.
What do you mean by next moment? Only one moment next.
Cái khoảnh
Là
khắc
tâm tiếp theo xin khởi
tiếp
kinh nghiệm.
theo.
Dạ, tâm tiếp theo.
Tiếp theo ngay sau nó.
Dạ,
hay là-
ngay sau đó.
He means the chitta that follows that seeing.
Is it known?
Mình có biết cái tâm đó không?
Dạ không.
That's
No.
why only seeing now can be known as nimitta of seeing, while there are other moments of other reality which is not
Yeah.
seeing.
Mm.
Is it true?
Dạ, để con suy xét.
Just to be mindful, attending to the characteristic which is not that which is seen, to be known little by little, gradually, that is not that which is seen at all, no matter what is seen. Seeing is not that which is seen, but it sees that which is seen.
And you asked about nimitta of seeing as opposed to nimitta of visible object, right? What is the reality of seeing? Which reality sees?
Dạ là nhãn thức rồi.
He said that it's chakhu vijnana.
So it's a citta which sees, right? And at the moment, can there be awareness and understanding of that citta?
Dạ, có thể.
The seeing citta can be the object of awareness and understanding, we know. Can that awareness and understanding arise at the same time as the citta which sees?
Dạ không.
No.
It can only arise after the seeing citta has fallen away, right? So how could there be awareness and understanding of something that has already fallen away?
Dạ. Dạ, em hiểu không?
So that is the nimitta of the citta which sees. That is the object of the awareness and understanding if it arises.
Dạ.
So when you say each moment of seeing is nimitta, this is not quite right, because when seeing arises, it is the Dhamma, the reality, that arises and sees visible object. It's not the nimitta, it's the seeing itself. And the next moment cannot experience it, because there are two more vipaka cittas that follow the seeing, so they cannot experience it. And the other citas in the I-door process cannot experience it because the object of those citas is still the visible object that was seen. It hasn't fallen away yet. So all those citas experience visible object. So seeing can only be known through the mind door, and it can only be known by way of its nimitta, the sign of the seeing. The seeing itself has fallen away. As Ajahn said, not one seeing, but many moments of seeing have arisen, seen what is visible and fallen away. But all conditioned dhammas have nimitta, a sign, because of their rapid arising and falling away, a bit like when you wave a firework and there's an image left. So there is an image, a sign of the seeing, of the characteristic of the seeing. And when understanding arises in a mind or process and understands the reality of seeing, it is the sign, the nimitta, the image of seeing, the image of the characteristic that appears, that is known, because the seeing itself has gone. Many moments of seeing has gone, but the image, the characteristic, can be known by way of nimitta. Otherwise, it would not be possible to ever understand seeing or hearing or attachment. At the moment when attachment arises, panya cannot arise at that moment because it's akusala citta. So the attachment has fallen away. Actually, many, many moments of attachment have fallen away, but there can be understanding of the nimitta, of the characteristic of attachment. It's like a perfect copy. It's like as if it was the reality, but actually it's the image, the sign of it. And it's the same for each conditioned reality. Even in the case of the arahats, panya cannot arise with seeing, because when seeing consciousness arises, no matter it's the seeing consciousness now, the seeing consciousness of the arahat, the seeing consciousness of a cat, it only arises with 7 cetasikas. So it's always fallen away. It's always the nimitta of seeing that makes it possible for the characteristic of seeing to be known. So only one reality has no nimitta, the one reality that doesn't arise and fall away. Everyone knows that this is nibbana. All other realities have a nimitta and are known by way of the nimitta.
And as Sarah has said, the nimitta is part of every conditioned Dhamma in samsara, and it is one of the aspects. It is one of the aspects of samsara that comes to be known more clearly as understanding is developed. And I think as for the person who is approaching enlightenment, for example, furthermore, the distinction between the conditioned realities having nimitta and nibbana being the unconditioned reality which is without nimitta becomes clearer. But of course, for us, that's a very long way away. But it's something that we perhaps haven't thought much about at this stage of our interest in the Dhamma, but something which should become clearer as understanding is further developed.
Có liên quan.
Dạ, con xin chào Achan cùng tất cả các vị thầy. Tiếp theo cái câu hồi nãy của anh Đạt thì con xin hỏi là cái tiến trình của cái thấy khi có duyên chúng ta có một cái thấy sinh khởi thì có phải cái tiến trình đó khi mà tâm chúng ta tĩnh lặng thì chúng ta thấy cái tiến trình đó nó chậm hơn không? Vì khi con thực hành thì con thấy là cái tiến trình tâm của cái sự sinh diệt ngay khi cái thấy nó sinh khởi thì con có cảm nhận rằng nó chậm hơn, thì cái điều đó có đúng không ạ?
Following the question from Mr. Dat, I have another question about seeing and the process of seeing. When the mind is calm, it seems that the process of seeing becomes slower, isn't it? Because when I practice, I can see that the arising and passing away of the chitta in the process become slower than normal. Please comment.
Why do you think that might be? Why would it become slower just because there is calm?
Dạ, ngay khi con nhận thấy cái bóng ảnh, những cái thấy sinh khởi liên tục thì ngay tại cái thời điểm đó tâm con hòa tràng tĩnh lặng thì con nhận thấy từng cái sinh diệt liên tục, nhưng mà thay vì như bình thường thì con thấy nó rất nhanh, nhưng ngay thời điểm đó thì con lại thấy nó chậm hơn. Thì như vậy có nghĩa là sao ạ?
He said that I just feel that when my mind is calm, I can see that it arises and passes away, and it's slower than usually.
Seeing is a conditioned reality, right? It arises by conditions. How is your calmness one of those conditions that would affect the arising or not, the speed of arising or the speed of the moments of seeing? And would it be the same for hearing? And would it be the same for the other sense door experiences? So what is the connection between your mental state and the arising of seeing and other sense door consciousnesses?
Ngay tại thời điểm đó thì cái kinh nghiệm qua cái thấy của con, qua cái thần kinh mắt của con cảm nhận được là thay vì như bình thường thì nó sinh diệt và nhanh đến độ tâm con không bắt kịp. Tuy nhiên những cái lúc đó thì con có thể cảm nhận được là đương nhiên là nó rất nhanh, nhưng có cảm giác nó chậm hơn thôi. Thì con không biết là điều đó đúng hay không.
Vâng, thì bây giờ ông đang giúp chị suy xét đó. Tại vì là tất cả những cái mình gọi là cảm nhận của mình thì đều có thể là sai, đúng không ạ? Và thường là sai. Vậy vì là chúng ta bị che phủ hoàn toàn bởi vô minh. Nên mọi thứ đều cần phải được suy xét dưới góc độ ánh sáng giáo lý của Đức Phật. Nên ông mới đặt câu hỏi cho chị là cái điều gì khiến cho chị nghĩ, điều gì trong giáo lý khiến cho chị nghĩ rằng cái trạng thái tâm của chị nó có thể tác động đến cái tốc độ sinh và diệt của những cái tâm thấy chẳng hạn, hay là những tâm trong lộ trình của tâm thấy.
Hay như bình thường thì chúng ta khi thấy thì chúng ta bị đan xen bởi rất là nhiều thứ, nhưng khi mà chúng ta có cái sự quan sát và suy xét trên một cái thấy sinh khởi ngay thời điểm đó, thì con mới thấy được rằng là cái bóng ảnh mà đập vào cái thấy của con thì nó rõ hơn, thấy nó sinh diệt rõ ràng hơn, thì điều đó làm cho con rất là phân vân. Thì có thể quý thầy có thể làm rõ chỗ này cho con ạ.
So she said that normally there are a lot of things distracting, but when there's more observing of what's happening, it is what it seems to me, but I'm not sure whether it's correct or not. So please help me.
Well, first of all, seeing cannot get faster or slower as calmness increases or decreases. That just doesn't make sense, does it? And then now you're talking about observing seeing and finding that if there is calm and you're observing seeing, then it seems to be more clear. The question is whether when you're observing seeing, that is anything to do with the understanding of the seeing consciousness, or whether that is just conventional concentration. And as we've been discussing here for a couple of days, when there is conventional concentration on something like seeing or hearing or the visible object, what is seen, the actual reality, is my sound coming through? Yes, the actual reality has already fallen away. And what is the object of the observation is the conceptual thinking about the seeing or hearing or visible object. And this is a trap for those who are keen to develop awareness and understanding and think that by selecting the object and concentrating or focusing attention on the object, that it can be seen more clearly. That is leading one along the wrong path, because what is being developed there is just the idea that there can be control over the arising of awareness and understanding, which is not the case. If it's to be awareness and the awareness and understanding spoken of by the Buddha, it has to arise naturally by conditions, the conditions that we were talking about earlier this morning. And it arises at a time not of our choosing by conditions. The object that awareness and understanding takes will be an object not of our choosing. It will be an object that is taken by those conditions, by virtue of conditions that we don't know anything about. They're not apparent to us and they cannot be influenced. So one needs to consider whether is there any use or value in trying to observe or observing, seeing. That depends on why you're doing it. If you're doing it for some reason not connected with the Buddha's teaching, then I suppose no problem. If you're doing it in the belief that it is developing awareness and understanding, there is a problem, because it's actually having the opposite effect. it's leading to reinforcing the idea of being able to control or influence the arising of awareness and understanding. And we know that's not possible.
Ngay tại cái thời điểm của cái thấy arise, có nghĩa là ngay tại thời điểm đó con không hề có tác ý, mà chỉ là cái thấy sinh diệt cho duyên, thì con mới quan sát và nhận thấy như vậy, chứ không hề có sự tác ý tại thời điểm chú tâm vào sự chánh niệm.
At the moment of the arising of the seeing, I don't have any intention, particular intention, but I just notice it naturally.
That's okay if you naturally notice seeing, although it's not something that naturally we would have any interest in, because we're usually more interested in what's going on around us. But perhaps if one has had a meditation practice in the past, then there is the habit of noticing these things. And again, I say that's not a problem as long as one doesn't mistake it for the development of understanding. As long as one appreciates that the development of understanding of seeing is something else that can't be done by directing one's attention to doing so.
Dạ, đúng thời điểm đó con không hề có intention là để phát triển sự hiểu biết gì hết, và tự động nó tự nhiên xảy ra thôi ạ.
Right. At that moment, I don't have any intention to develop an understanding. It just happens.
Yes, as I said, not a problem, as long as it's not mistaken for the arising of awareness and understanding, because the natural arising of awareness and understanding with seeing as object, seeing consciousness as object, is something quite different. It comes, as I say, at a time not of one's choosing. And it takes an object not of one's choosing. So it's just spontaneous. And it's quite different from observing, even if that observing is without intention. There's no such thing, of course, as observing without intention, but even if you say it's just as a matter of habit, it's not going to be the same as awareness and understanding.
Yeah. And if you say it just happens and there's no intention to, and it's just noticing naturally, then what do you mean when you say, when I practice, then the citta arises and falls away slower and so on? What is when I practice? What is the practice?
Dạ. Dạ, có những cái giai đoạn con dạng như là nhập thất mấy ngày chẳng hạn, thì đó là cái giai đoạn không có hướng ra ngoài, nên con giải thích là cái sự thực hành là vậy thôi.
Nhập thất đúng không ạ? She said that because when she say practice, that means that she is in a retreat and her mind doesn't pay attention outwardly.
So there is the intention to cut out the outwardly and to observe or be aware of realities now. So this is the idea of I observing or intending. It's not what we call natural development of understanding. It's I going somewhere, following an activity to practice, not the condition for panya to develop by the careful understanding of seeing as anatta, not I that can slow it down, not I that can practice, not I that can observe it. And I'd like to know whether there is calm now or whether it has to wait until you're on retreat.
Dạ có ạ.
Yes,
And what is calm?
Là khi tâm con không có những cái tạp niệm và những cái tác ý hay là suy tư ạ.
when my mind doesn't think nonsense and và không có những
Cái tác ý hay suy tư.
there's no particular intentions or thinking.
How long does calm last?
Nó không kéo dài bao lâu, bởi vì khi mình nhận thấy sự an tịnh thì lúc đó là một cái duyên mới đã sinh khởi rồi ạ.
It doesn't last too long because when I notice that calm, there are conditions for other things to arise.
Can we say that calm just arises for a moment, just like seeing arises for a moment, attachment arises for a moment, calm arises for a moment and is gone instantly, and nothing special, nothing to be attached to, nothing to wish for or dream about at all, because it's another Dhamma that is dukkha arising and gone immediately, sunyata. And at moments now, when there is no kindness or no generosity or no understanding about the truth now, when there's just not being distracted, not knowing about anything, can we say that's calm? Or maybe moments of ignorance too. Because calm, passaddhi cetasika in Pali, can only arise with wholesome moments. So it can only arise with moments of kindness, moments of generosity, moments of paying respect, moments of understanding. But if there's no understanding, no kusala at this moment, just because there is more focusing or not being distracted, we cannot say it's calm. Like when we walk in the forest or we sit quietly without any telephone calls and reflect about the Dhamma, we cannot say it's calm all the time. Maybe moments of calm, but mostly clinging with pleasant feeling and ignorance. So this is why we talked about Satya Parami, being truthful to the truth. The truth is whatever arises is anatta, not to be clung to, not to wish for, not to try to have special experiences like understanding the arising and falling away of dharmas and so on, because this distracts from the understanding of just what appears now.
And one of the aspects of truthfulness, as just mentioned by Sarah, is being honest with oneself about one's intentions and motivations. So if, for example, one has planned to go to a retreat and made all the arrangements for that, set aside the time, got leave from one's work or made arrangements for the family, etc., and are following and at the retreat is following the instructions for practice, is there any way that there cannot be intention to have understanding at that time? Are we not kidding ourselves, fooling ourselves, if we say, well, I'm just sitting and see what happens, and maybe this object, maybe that object, but no intention? It just doesn't ring true, does it? So it's an aspect of the truthfulness of the Dhamma that one should be alert to the possibility that one's eagerness to have understanding is covering over the reality of the present moment. It's a problem that will always be there as long as wrong view has not yet been eradicated. So for everyone, there are times when obviously one is thinking or along those lines of, wouldn't it be great to have more understanding, or shouldn't I be having more awareness now? Shouldn't there be more kusala in the day? That sort of thing. Those moments will arise, but we are fortunate that we can appreciate that it's just conditioned that way because wrong view has not yet been eradicated. And there's no following along after the thought. One doesn't follow it along any further.
Is it calm now? We talk about it. If there is understanding, there can be the understanding of whether there is calm now. See, if we cannot see, it means that we don't know the characteristic of calmness. Did Buddha say anything about calm? And what did he say? It wasting time thinking by oneself in such a way that it has been accumulated to think that way. But the Buddha realized the truth of all Dhammas. So is calm a Dhamma? And what did Buddha say? Anything about calmness? Otherwise, we think in our own way, just have heard about it or read it, and there's so many ideas about it. But what did Buddha say about calmness? To be known, not just to be heard or thought about, but to be known. As Buddha thought about seeing right now, because seeing can be known, it's there to be known. But without understanding the truth of it, it can never be known at all. That's why each word about what is real, Buddha realized it and thought about it beyond anyone's considering by oneself. We heard the word calm, we think that if we sit in the forest, no one at all, it's so calm. Is that Buddha said? Or we think? Or just stay alone, only one in the house, no one there at all. We might think that it's so calm. But what did Buddha say about calmness? Not as we can think about at all. So learn to understand the truth, the very subtle truth, just one reality at a time, and develop the understanding of that truth to understand that actually all dhammas are anatta. Because many people wish to have calmness. They try so hard to be calm, to go somewhere to be calm. But is it calm at moment of wanting to be calm? It sounds like the realities are so very tricky, but in truth, they are so real. Depends on understanding or no understanding at all. Just think about it in one's own way. That's why even just one word, calmness, what is it? It's not like as we thought before. Just be alone in the house. Is it calm? Consider that. No one there at all. Is that moment calm? See, not at all, right? Why we say not at all? Because no understanding of calmness. We take something like concentration as calmness. But in truth, calmness is a reality, which is not right understanding, which is not seeing. As we are now thinking about calmness, is it seeing? See, just one question. Is it seeing? It's not, why not? It's not just enough to hear the word and take it instantly. But why not? To understand a little more, to let go very strong ignorance of the truth. Just think of it this way, but is it that way or the other way? See? So just begin again to understand. We're talking about calmness. What is it from the very beginning to implant confidence of the truth? It's there at moment of understanding and then gone, and the other moment is not understanding. That's why it has to arise again and again and again to be conditioned to think about it, consider about it until there is understanding of that which is there, stage by stage. We cannot have the wish to just want to experience it by this way or that way, practicing and doing. That is not right understanding at all. It's just wanting, try the way to get it without any understanding of it at all. That's why just one word, it will lead to consider more, to understand more about Dhamma, anatta. Otherwise, without understanding the truth of anything, it's there something all the time, not Dhamma and not anatta. So begin again to understand the truth of calmness, whether we understand it enough or never enough, because it's just intellectual understanding, which has to take time to consider it again and again and again, to understand the nature of it as citta or cetasika, different cetasikas. So what is calm? No thought about it? It can never be the moment of understanding it. But from now, what is calm or calmness?
Không biết chị Lương có muốn trả lời hay là ai muốn trả lời không? An tịnh là gì ạ?
Dạ thưa bà, sự an tịnh theo cái sự suy xét của con thì là ngay thời điểm đó cái tâm nó thực sự sắc bén và nó hoàn toàn không có những cái tạp niệm, những cái tác ý hay những cái suy nghĩ, và hoàn toàn khi ở cái trạng thái hoàn toàn tĩnh lặng để có thể quan sát được các pháp sinh khởi một cách rõ ràng hơn ạ.
Tập niệm là gì hả chị? Tạp niệm là ý là gì ạ? Cụ thể là gì ạ?
Có nghĩa là những cái suy nghĩ sinh khởi liên tục, chẳng hạn như chúng ta thay vì chúng ta chẳng hạn như đang ngồi thì nhưng mà chúng ta suy nghĩ miên man về các thứ, không có một cái sự tỉnh giác.
So according to her consideration, calm is the moment when the mind is very sharp and doesn't have any unsystematic thinking, like to think without the thinking around. So that's her understanding of the moment of calmness.
So it's not calm now, right?
Dạ.
Keen to learn a little more to understand the truth. Many people would like to be calm, but not to understand calmness as it is. A Dhamma, not anyone at all. Anatta, depending on conditions. No matter how much we wish or want to be calm, it depends on conditions. And without understanding, there can be condition for calmness, not the degree with understanding, but just moment of no akusala at that moment. So how can there be the understanding whether this is moment of kusala or akusala? In order to understand it, only at moment of kusala is calm. So the moment of akusala is not calm at all. That's why we learn to understand this moment, whether it's calm or not calm, in order to begin to understand the nature of calmness. The moment without it, and the moment when it's there. See, and no one can thought about it at all without hearing and considering each word of the teachings of the Buddha, beyond any expectation, anyone's expectation at all. So subtle is the calm at this moment. Without understanding the truth of the teaching, no answer. But at moment of understanding, if it's not calm, it cannot be kusala. Right? So at moment of understanding is not calm, but there is a reality which is calm, arises with every moment of wholesomeness, kusala. So at moment of hearing something, dislike that sound, is it calm? Or like that sound, is that calm? See? Not at all. Learn to understand the truth. So at moment of right thinking, not wrong thinking. When it's wrong thinking, is it calm? See, learn to understand the truth in life, not just the word about it. It's there to be known little by little that even right now, there is no one. Because what is there is always conditioned moment to be seeing or thinking or considering. Begin to not forget about Dhamma, now, here, everywhere, in order to gradually let go the clinging to that as something or someone or I. Because when there is the idea, I want to be calm, see, I is there, I want to be good. I is there. I want to understand. It's there. I. That's why it's so subtle to understand each reality which arise together to condition that moment to be kusala or akusala at different levels. So now it's the level of understanding the subtlety of not just the word of the Buddha, but the truth. It's so subtle. That's why each word about the truth has to be careful, considered. Otherwise, one just take it for granted. Okay, no one. Dhamma all the time. But that's not enough because I am thinking. I is there. That's why there can be a little more understanding of the truth, little by little. And that is the only way to have less and less ignorance and attachment. Right then, when it's there, no need at all to want anything because it's there already. See, do you like that which is there already? Right now, it's there already. Try to do something to have it. It hasn't happened yet, but that which is there has happened. It's there to be known. That's why understanding the subtlety of developing understanding or develop right understanding of what is there, just one reality at a time. Because when they are together, even two, it's not clear, right? Because now there is seeing, and that which is seen, nothing more, appear. But what appears is not the reality which sees, only that object which is seen, right? That's why learn to understand another reality which is there from birth, the reality which arises to experience an object. Consider that firmly, the reality which arises to experience the object, because it's the reality which experience. So how can, when it's there arising, it does not experience? Its nature is just rise to experience the object. That's why no matter what, it's there, firm enough to understand the truth that it doesn't have shape or form or sound or smell, nothing at all. Is that right? Nothing at all. Only the reality or the quality of it as it experiences the object, just arise to experience the object. So we use many words for different kinds of that which arises and experiences the object. Vijnana or Citta or Mano or Manasa and so on. All means that which is achieved of experiencing. So this is the beginning to understand. So is calm the Citta? See, not just the word, but understand the nature of it. Calm is not Citta at all. That's why begin to understand those reality which are not Citta, to understand each different one as it cannot be taken for anything. And whatever arises, no matter Citta or Cetasikas or Rupa, fall away. So very quickly, we can just think about it instantly, arising and falling away, unknowingly, in succession, because each reality which arises, experience the object, is conditioned for the next moment to arise as soon as it has fallen away completely. This is getting close to understand each reality as Citta is Citta. So we go on, understand the other reality, little by little, one by one, as it is just a reality different from the others. For example, anger and attachment different ones. Can they arise together? Impossible. That's why learn to understand the moment in life, to be known by condition. Because everyone experiences that which is there in life. Hardness is there in life. Not just one moment. Many, many moments, even right now. But no attention, no understanding. That even that is so very short. Every moment in life is so short, beyond anyone's control. Whatever is there is already conditioned. No thought to try to make calmness or whatever arises. That is no understanding of the truth. That what is there is already by conditioned. What is there is already conditioned to arise and falls away instantly. So we can talk about any reality, even calmness is not permanent, but it's not attachment, it's not aversion, it's not whatever is there as we take for I or ego or anything else. This is the way to let go the very strong or enormous ignorance and attachment, even right now unknown, because there are many levels of whatever is there, even just attachment. As soon as there is seeing what is that which can be known, gradually, little by little, I see. Even no one speak out, I see. But it's I, accumulated from ignorance, whatever is there. When it's the moment of experiences, no one there at all. So at that moment of seeing, it's I see. So how long? It will be gradually less and less eliminated until completely eradicated. Never to arise again. Now, not other moment, right now. That's why beginning to understand the virtues of the Buddha so great. Because how long had he accumulated the virtues to become enlightened, to know that now seeing is not permanent, that it's his enlightenment. And he thought about the way to enlighten the truth from the very beginning, intellectual understanding about even calm, whether it's calm or not calm. And when it's not calm, what is it? That's why each word should be kept and rooted firmly. The hetu or the cause is there in mind, on and on and on, that it develops to condition moment of enlightenment as the result of each moment of understanding the truth, stage by stage. So now, it's not the second round of the Four Noble Truths, it is just the first round. And one has to be so very careful whether it's known enough about the differences of this and that, like calmness, and the other reality, joy, pity. See, who knows that even they arise together, they are different. See, this is the moment of paying respect to the enlightened one, to his great compassion, his great wisdom. Otherwise, no one can understand what is there at all. So now it's not enough just to think about calmness and would like to be calm. Impossible. What is taken for calm? Attachment, no aversion. See, so it seems like it's calm, but there is attachment at that moment when there's no understanding of the truth of that very moment. So respectfully listen, consider a little more, begin again and again. Because after it's heard, it's gone. And conditions for other reality, like I hear, I understand, is there instantly. That's why the way to have the understanding of the second truth is so very subtle, more subtle and more subtle. Even the first truth, the arising and falling away of this moment, so very, very quickly, unknown at all. That's why not only one moment of seeing, many moments of seeing. And Buddha taught about a moment to moment before seeing and after seeing. One single moment. Because even the object now appears, it appears to many different citta. Who knows? It seems like they're seeing and they're thinking. Who think about seeing at moment of talking and thinking? Not at all. Seeing arises and see falls away all the time, unknowingly. It's the beginning of understanding that's so very, very subtle of whatever is now. To begin to respect the truth, to be truthful to the truth. The truth cannot be changed. So amazing. The truth cannot be changed. What is there now appearing can never be changed. But the understanding develops a little, a little, a little, a little, on and on, until it's the moment of realizing what Buddha had realized. So he taught about the path to realize. So a moment of understanding, even just one word, intellectually, condition the path. Keep on. So very slowly, because how many times we heard about seeing, but seeing is that right now. When will it appear as seeing is not that which is seen? And at that moment when it appears to be known directly, nothing is there at all. No shape, no form, no sound, no smell, no cars, no trees. Because if it does not appear as it is clearly, how can there be the understanding of that which appears, arising and falling away by way of nimitta? So it begins to understand the truth of life, the truth of the world. It's the world of nimitta. Is that right? But there can be what condition nimitta? The reality, seeing, hearing, smelling, falling away, succeeding one another so very quickly. No one there at all. But ignorance cannot realize the truth now until it's time. Until it's time, not by me or anyone to hurry to know it. Impossible. That's why understanding many stages, the first round of the Four Noble Truths, until it is the second round, different from the first round, just intellectual understanding, seeing and hearing and so on, until it's the third round, realization of the truth, as we have heard. But at moment of intellectual understanding, it's not just like when it develops on and on and on, letting go on, and understanding grows stage by stage. It's known as what stage it is, because right understanding is so very truthful. It's so true to the truth. So how much understanding of what is now appearing? It's only understanding can know correctly. No one. See, not me or I.
And just one more question for you about calm, and thank you for your patience. But I think the topic you've raised is of interest to many people. The calm we are talking about, is it mental or physical? The calm we are talking about, is it mental calm or physical calm?
Dạ, về tâm ạ.
It's mental.
Sita.
Right. It's a particular mental factor that arises with every kusala citta. And is this mental calm dependent on physical calm? That is to say, is it necessary to be still or in a certain position in order for mental calm to arise?
No.
So it can arise at any time. And does kusala citta
Yes.
arise in our daily life? In our daily life, does kusala citta
Dạ có.
arise from time
Yes.
to time? For
Yes.
example?
Yes. Ngay khi mà con có sự suy xét về các cái pháp hiện giờ, thì ngay khi đó là có cái tâm thiện pháp sinh khởi.
When I am considering about the Dhamma now, there are kusala citta arising.
Yes, and apart from the times we're considering about the Dhamma, does kusala also arise at other times in daily life?
Yes. Every time we recognize, we considering some. Sorry. Tự nhiên nói tiếng thì nói tiếng Việt đi cho dễ ha. Mỗi lúc mà con có sự suy xét trên các cái pháp hiện giờ và trong cái nghe.
Em xin ngắt lời một chút, tại vì câu hỏi của ông là ngoài những cái khoảnh khắc mà suy xét với cái hiểu thì có tâm thiện, thì có những cái thiện pháp khác sinh khởi trong đời sống hay không ạ? Đấy là câu hỏi ạ.
Dạ có. Thì ông nói là cho ví dụ.
Vâng.
You said give example, right? You said that I give the example,
Yes,
right?
yes, please.
Apart from considering, bên ngoài cái việc suy xét ra.
Ngoài cái việc suy.
Well, because time is running short, so let me just mention that it can arise and does arise in normal daily life. For example, when we are being considerate or polite in our relationship with another person, when we obviously, if we help someone, if we give something, and if there is metta towards someone else, all these times there can be kusala in a day. And what I'd like to suggest is that at those moments of kusala, there must also be calm, but there is no recognition by us of those moments of kusala and calm. But those moments are an opportunity for kusala to be known, and calm to be known, because it must be there. So if calm is to be developed, it has to be when it arises naturally. Calm cannot be induced to arise by putting ourselves in a situation where we think it will arise. Especially if we think it involves us sitting in a certain position or not watching television or something like that. We are doing things in order to induce calm to arise. That will not be a condition for there to be natural kusala. Because the aim is, if anything, is to develop kusala, not to have more calm.
I'd just like to add one last point about seeing, because your question started about seeing, following on Mr. Dat's. So the Buddha said, however many similes he could give to show the speed of seeing, no simile can come close to showing how very fast seeing consciousness arises and falls away. No matter it's a seeing consciousness of the Buddha, any seeing consciousness, it falls away, it rises and falls away far faster than we can imagine. It never slows down, no matter where we are, no matter what the activity. And we've been talking a lot over the few days about the understanding of seeing and how usually there's always the idea of I see. It's not easy to understand the reality of seeing. And if there's no understanding of the reality of seeing now, because the test is always now, if there's no understanding of the reality of seeing now, impossible to understand understand with highly developed understanding the arising and falling away of the reality of seeing. We talk about, everything arises and falls away, understanding of seeing and hearing arising and falling away, but it's not the direct understanding of the rising and falling away of seeing now. So many points to consider, and you may agree with some and disagree with others, but I think it's a helpful topic.
For sure, yeah. I think they're very important topics, and I would encourage, because I know some friends among us who have listened for a long time and also have some ideas about this as well. So I would encourage them to speak so that we can hear more explanations from Achan and you and John.
We can continue this afternoon,
yes.
And if anyone has their other ideas, please let us know.
Dạ vâng ạ. Vâng, đây là một chủ đề rất là quan trọng bởi vì nó là những cái điểm rất vi tế và tất cả chúng ta đều có thể có những cái ý niệm riêng của mình, và rất là quan trọng nếu như chúng ta đưa ra những cái điểm đó để chia sẻ, để có cơ hội được nghe, bởi vì nó vi tế cho nên là đôi khi ta không thể thấy được những cái điểm sai nho nhỏ của nó, nhưng mà có các vị thầy ở đây sẽ giúp chúng ta, nên là rất khuyến khích tất cả những ai mà có những cái quan điểm nào đó về điều này, chúng ta có thể mạnh dạn cùng thảo luận chiều nay, sẽ hữu ích cho rất nhiều người ạ. Vâng, chúng con cũng biết là có rất nhiều câu hỏi vẫn đang được chờ. Có câu hỏi từ thầy Đồng Tú, cô Trúc Thanh, nhưng mà vì thầy Đồng Tú và cô Trúc Thanh cũng sẽ đi Vũng Tàu, nên là trong trường hợp mà các câu hỏi của thầy Đồng Tú, cô Trúc Thanh chưa có cơ hội được đưa ra thì chúng ta sẽ đợi ở Vũng Tàu, bởi vì là ở đây thì chúng ta sẽ ưu tiên cho những người thứ nhất là mới đến Pháp Đàm, và thứ hai là cũng chỉ có cơ hội tham gia ở tại Sài Gòn. Vâng ạ. Xin chúc cả nhà ăn trưa ngon miệng, và chúng ta hẹn nhau lúc chiều nay vào lúc 3 giờ ạ. Chiều nay là buổi cuối cùng. Sa đụ, sa đụ, sa đụ.